Good evening, America. This is Senior Senator William S. Klein from Real America. I felt today being January the 30th, 2007, I would give my own rebuttal to Gringo George Bush's State of the Union. Now, I know some of you out there have not heard of the Real America area, the Real America Party, and I don't blame you, because you went to them fancy colleges with all those victim studies. The African American studies, the women's studies, queer studies, peace studies. You guys don't know nothing. I mean, I bet you guys get your news from the newspaper, right? And, you know, you don't know about intelligent design. You don't know Rick Santorum found the WMDs. You don't know you balance a budget by cutting taxes. I don't blame you. That's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you how we're going to make it all right. You see, I'm kind of like a tribunal for real Americans out there. Kind of people who are, you know, sensitive enough to listen to Lee Greenwood, but they're manly enough that they don't cry when he says we're going to stand up next to you. So that's the kind of thing that I do, and I think it's time that we had a real American, a real and true conservative in the White House. And you're saying, what about the Republicans? And I'm saying, what about the Republicans, right? I mean, the former frontrunner used to be Rudy Giuliani. He puts all the terrorists together in one big monolithic group without regard for their internal differences and dissensions. You know, he does that. And he also says sad and mournful things about 9/11 while ignoring his own responsibilities both before and after. And he's about as much of a fascist as you can have in the American political system today. So like me, you're thinking, where can you go wrong? It's a good question, but here's the thing. Like a bad salsa. He's from New York City. New York City. You know what that means? It means at some point he either saw or heard from the Reverend Al Sharpton. That means he's more likely to be the Manchurian candidate than John McCain. Oh yeah, I went there. Because he's got that free speech police, like that's going to terrify me. You know, this McCain-Feingold campaign finance, First Amendment, got the window ridiculousness. And with him, it's not just that he has this political correctness club like you find at Antioch College or some ridiculous far-left institution. It's not just that. He's also got the McCain-Kennedy immigration bill. Part of Team Amnesty, or I guess since he's with Graham, you know, Team Gramnesty is a good pun I saw on the internet. I really like it. But you know, his campaign ran into some trouble a little while ago, and if it was, you know, if they asked me, which they wouldn't because I wouldn't get a country mile near them, I think it was their slogan. I think they should have been bold and been outright and said, look, this is what we stand for. Their slogan should have been, illegal immigrants, see, that being Spanish for yes. Free speech, no, that being Spanish for no. And, I mean, that's one front runner, right? On the left hand, you have John McCain. On the other hand, also the left hand, you have Mitt Romney. Now, unlike some people, I don't really try to hold his Mormonism against him. I mean, he was kind of born into the cult. It's not like moving to Massachusetts. He did that in his own. But I'm talking about being born into a cult. That's not as much his fault. And you know, if he thinks he believes in the same God as me, that's not so bad. But the thing is, you know, Glenn Beck said, I wouldn't vote for Joe Lieberman for president. And the reason he said it, I thought this was interesting. I think it's a great thought. Is because, not that he had a problem with Glenn Beck, with Joe Lieberman being Jewish, but it was because he knew that the terrorists wouldn't take it right. And it's the same for Mitt Romney, unfortunately. Or at least this Mitt Romney. I mean, the Mitt Romney 6 years ago we all hated, and he can go have his gay marriage and whatever. But this Mitt Romney will be a good guy, except, you know, let's say he's walking down the street, right, and he bumps into Ahmed, the Islamofascist. Mitt Romney is so courteous and so considerate he would apologize, which is wrong. Wrong. Just read these books. That emboldens them. I hear in Saudi Arabia you're supposed to waterboard your date in the first date so that you show respect. That's Islamic culture. You got to know this stuff. That's why I'm ready. I'm ready from day one. I know about toughness, but Romney doesn't, so he'd apologize. And then, you know, the emboldened Islamofascists would say something like, you know, your mother is so fat, you know, sad in the quarter, whatever. Then Mitt Romney would come back at him like any American would, something like, you pray 5 times a day, you know, you're wasting your time, or stop wearing a towel on your head. For the rest of us, that would be victory. That's America. We can do that. But with Mitt Romney, the terrorist comes back at him. Says, yeah, I may pray 5 times a towel or whatever, but you're wearing crazy underwear. And you know what that is? That's game over. G-A-M-E-O-V-E-R, game over. You can't do anything at that point. I mean, that's just a total defeat. So the thing is, of course, those are the 2 front runners. There are a couple other guys, you know, they smelled out this weakness. When you really think about it, you know, after I've gone through this with you, I'm sure you're thinking too, there are no conservatives in the field, and America is a center-right coalition. How could that be? So there are guys, and, you know, Fred Thompson was one of them. Or, to be more accurate, Fred Thompson's trophy wife was one of them. And, you know, Fred Thompson, you could tell he was doing it for his wife. You could tell that he was not really that into it. And that's fine in some families. I mean, Southern Baptists, you know, happen to believe that the husband should take priority over the wife. And if you're Governor Huckabee, you signed a newspaper ad saying that that's so. He has his own problems, though. There are drawbacks to him. We'll get to him in a minute. Fred Thompson. The thing about Fred Thompson is that when his wife is running the campaign, I mean, she saw that there are these liberal cream puffs. She thinks she can come in and beat them up. And that's the thing. Women, they're more for cooking, less for politics. They can handle cream puffs, but they can't get Fred to, you know, really put the fire in the belly. He can put some pot roast in the belly, but not the fire in the belly. So you watch a Fred speech before we got out, and you said, my friend, that dog won't hunt, and that souffle won't rise. I mean, that's just, you could tell. And then there was Mike Huckabee, like I said a minute ago. And, you know, I think it's interesting he lost all that weight when he left the governor's mansion. You know, kind of like he was getting ready to give up all that pork he was feeding the Arkansas government, or getting ready to give up the $80,000 a year mansion discretionary fund that he used to buy Taco Bell for his family. You can look it up. So that was interesting. But let's forget about Huckabee, about his years in Arkansas. I mean, not that we should. Those were terrible years. You should remember that when you vote. But we're moving past that. What's the first thing he would do as president? Read my lips. New taxes. New taxes. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then it's this crazy Ponzi scheme. It's like Social Security all over again. There are prebates with this sales tax. Prebates? What is this? Is this a used car dealership he's running for president of? This little old lady only took it 12 miles in the weekends to turn her fetuses into stem cells from... What is this? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this, you know, Barack Obama admits the Republican Party, or at least the conservative ideology, is a party of ideas. He admits that, but then what you got is you got an old idea with the sales tax. It is like Nixon's negative income tax, only now with 30 years of history, we know it's a negative intelligence tax.